Hey gamers, it's Tori, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to give you all my thoughts about my tips to becoming a new DM for Dungeons and Dragons. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was in my early teens, back in the late 80s, early 90s, so it's been a minute. I've DM'd several times with both groups of friends in real life with pen and paper on a tabletop, and then recently with the Gaming Mommies group on Roll20, which I really enjoy. So I wanted to give everyone a few tips that I picked up about being a DM along the way, because I'm sure there's some people in the Gaming Mommies Play D&D community that would maybe like to give being a Dungeon Master a try, but aren't sure where to start. So here you go, Tori's top 5 tips for being a DM. Tip number 1, you don't have to know everything, you just have to know where to find it. And if you've played in my group with Gaming Mommies Play D&D, you know I've said this many times. I am by no means an expert on Dungeons and Dragons, even after all the years of playing. I simply am really good at knowing where to look things up. And I have to look things up over and over and over again. If you think you have to be an expert and know absolutely everything about Dungeons and Dragons before you try to run your own game and be a DM, you're never going to get there. So let's just let that go and just familiarize yourself with the player's guide, with the monster manual, with rolling characters, and how combat works, how looting works, how experience works. Just pay attention as you're playing. Pay attention to how your DM handles that. Get comfortable with it, and get copies of as many books as you can, either physically or in PDF form, that can be found through the Dungeons and Dragons website. Tip number 2, notes are your friend. You've seen me looking down during this video. It's because I have notes. I have notes for the game too. I always was a pen and paper tabletop player, but now I've been playing online, and there are a lot of good programs out there. I personally use Roll20, and I have a million notes on there, which actually is speeding up my whole knowing where to look things up process. You want to have notes on how to roll characters. You want to have notes on your NPCs. You want to have notes on your monsters and the creatures that your party is running into. You want to have notes on storyline, on loot, just anything you come up with and anything you think will need handy. Jot it down on an index card or in a notebook or on your computer or on the program you're using, and learn how to refer to them often. It does not make you seem like you don't know what you know. It does not make you seem like you don't know what you're doing. It makes you seem like you're organized and prepared because you have everything written down. Okay, so point 3, don't play with jerks. This can be unavoidable, especially if you're in a group that has that one friend or someone is brought along that you don't want to offend either them or the person that brought them. But you don't have to feed into jerks. If someone's trying to hijack your game, if someone's constantly complaining, if you have someone who's a know-it-all that thinks they could do it better than you, just address it. Don't try to play around what they're saying. Don't adjust your game to them. Take them aside if need be and say, you know, this just really isn't how I play. It's not how we play as a group, so you need to back off a little bit. If that doesn't work, game shaming works. If they're playing their character like a jerk, then the character needs to be treated like a jerk. And it's a good way to dissuade people from that kind of play, which really is not fun for anyone except maybe the jerk. And so that's not the kind of game you want to play. And if you are the jerk, know that you're ruining everyone's good time. So cut it out. Alright, we have point 4. This is a game that is played for fun. This goes back to number 3 with dealing with jerks. You don't want to have jerks in the game because they don't make it fun. And I know people sometimes, and I've played with them, take this really seriously, and that's awesome because that's how they enjoy it. But if they're killing the game for everyone else, that's not fun. You don't need to be a rule Nazi just because you're the DM. That's not fun. You want to make sure that all your players are having a good time. And if you messed up a roll or you forgot a point in the storyline or whatever, it's really not the end of the world as long as everyone is happy and smiling and sorry that they finally had to end the game at the end of the night. That is the sign of a good DM, when everyone is kind of aw when you say that it's time to wrap it up. At least in my opinion. And since it's my video, you guys get my opinion. Alright, number 5, and this is the most important. You are the DM. That means you are in charge. You are the god or goddess of the little world that you have created, and you need to treat it as such. Now, back to rule 3. Don't be that guy. Don't be a jerk. Don't be the one ruining it for everyone. But you are in charge of the storyline. You're in charge of the monsters. You're in charge of the loot. And you can change that at any time. Because you're in charge. You don't need anyone's permission to change things up. I am in a game right now that I have some new players, and so I kept it pretty basic at the beginning. And the new players are awesome. You guys know who you are. You're totally awesome. Figured stuff out way sooner than I expected them to. And I just changed the storyline, accelerated things, changed where they were going next, and just pretty much rolled with it. And I could do that because I'm in charge, and I can, within the rules established, make it fun. Now that doesn't mean you get to pull rules out of your ass, punish people. You want to be consistent about your rules. But come up with your rules, write them down in your notes, stick with them, but be flexible and be willing to change with what your party decides to do, with what people seem to enjoy. Like, you did this thing and they really dug it, and you were supposed to be doing something else and it's not as fun. So you can change midstream. But you're in charge, and you want to make it fun for your players, and most of all, fun for yourself, because there's not really any other reward for being a dungeon master other than playing a fun game and having a good time. So I hope that these tips were helpful. If you have any questions or any tips you'd like to add, leave them in the comments below, or let me know on gamingmommies.com or on our Gaming Mommies Facebook page. I would love to hear anything that you have to add about how to successfully start your career as a dungeon master. Alright, you guys keep gaming, and I'll see you next time.